We'll go ahead and get started. Let me share screen so that you can see the slide deck. Hold on a second. All right. So once again, welcome to Hopkins. We're so excited that you're able to join us today. The slide deck is also on our website. If you click on the webinar and back to school information icon on the main page, you will get to a page where you can click on this slide deck so that you can have it for your records and follow along on your end as well. So some of the topics I will go over, again, we'll do more introductions in a moment, but we have our Measure E updates. Thank you so much for your support. That has enabled us to have renovated and new buildings for our students who deserve the best. Return to school information, lunchtime procedures, school student activities, a lot of exciting things are happening throughout the year, and family school partnership, things that you can reinforce at home, COVID-related information, ways to contribute, and then we'll have time at the end for Q&A. All right, so once again, you have the administrative team here with you tonight. I'm Nancy Quay again. I'm the principal of Hopkins Middle School. Really feel that it's such a privilege to be serving all of you and our students. I'm a parent myself, a mom of 2 boys, and my boys go to Fremont Unified Schools. And every school that I have the blessing of serving, I treat it as a school that I would like my own boys to be a part of, that I will be proud if they were students at the school that I'm at. So that's one thing that I always strive for. This is going to be my 20th year in education, and also been living in Fremont myself. So it's an extra blessing to be serving my community here. When I'm not working, I love to be active, going outdoors, cooking at home, traveling, and being creative. So you might find me making Halloween costumes for either myself or my boys. I love to read and learn about the world. I'm going to pass the mic over to our fabulous assistant principal, Mrs. Moore.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is my 24th year in education, 22 years in Fremont Unified, which is crazy to think about. And this is my 8th year at Hopkins, so glad to be back. I too am married, have two boys. One just graduated from high school. The other one is going into sophomore year. We used to be in Fremont, but we have since moved to a different district. Things about me: vegetarian. I love visiting the ocean, whale watching, going for walks or hikes. Love my yoga and music. And I'll pass it on to Miss Jensen.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Joanna Jensen. I have been in education for 15 years. I've spent the last 10 years here in Fremont Unified. I am new to Hopkins this year, but I am coming from Mission San Jose High School, where I served as assistant principal. So I'm really excited to continue to work with this attendance area, just with a different grade level. Outside of work, I teach dance to students of all ages. I love to travel, I love to take photos, and love to read in my spare time. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and I look forward to working with your students this year.
All right, so all of us really believe in the family and school partnership. And besides us, you have a wider team. It's been hard to decide what to cover in today's webinar because there's so much to offer. But just on the very foundational level, if you ever have any questions about your students' well-being, whether it's how they're doing academically or their social interactions, how they're doing emotionally, you have a very strong counseling team there to support. We have put down the grade level counselor. It's good to let them know what's happening, and if you ever feel like your child would benefit from a counselor, check in. We're happy. Our counseling team is really good about doing that. So that's the grade level support team right there for counseling. And our administrative team is also broken down by grade level. And for 6th grade, Ms. Jensen, Mrs. Moore, they each take half of our 6th graders. So you'll see the alpha breakdown by last name. And this can help you know which person to reach out to. When it comes to our administrative team, we're happy to take your questions or concerns about school safety, schedules, any questions or concerns about school policies, discipline, attendance related, anything, right? We're here to work as a team. It really takes a village to support all of our kids. So please continue to lean on us for the families who are returning, and to the new families, we're here to help. All right, so once again, thank you so much for supporting Measure E, which has enabled Hopkins to upgrade our existing buildings and create new buildings for our students so that they are going through the daily educational experience in state-of-the-art facilities. So the updated parts, we have all of our classrooms have been upgraded with new HVAC system and new electrical hookups and internet. Our library has been redone. Our science labs, we have new locker rooms that they were all new as recently as the last school year. Restrooms and roofs. In terms of our new buildings, you'll see if you have been on our campus, if you haven't, you'll see very soon our brand new music building, our fabulous multi-use room, which is a big building that hosted our Hopkins Expo last spring. Maybe you were able to participate. It also has a state-of-the-art kitchen where our students are able to pick up their breakfast and lunch through there. We have our new 2-story building, Building J, that is complete and ready to welcome our students to first day of school, or even as right now our new teachers are moving into the J building. About half of our 6th grade classrooms are housed in there. So all of those are ready to go for our brand new year. And I'm going to pass the mic to Mrs. Moore to talk about the beginning of the school year procedures.
All righty. Thank you. So just a few things to kind of go over here. Our bell schedule. Most students will begin, well, all students begin, I'm sorry, let me try this again. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, our bell schedule is from 8:15 to 2:27. So that is our schedule for 4 days of the week. On Wednesdays, our bell schedule is 8:15 to 1:23. So we have an early release day on Wednesdays. We do have a small group of students who are in the 0 period. I've had several questions come through already about 0 period. 0 period is only offered to the students in the dual immersion program or who are in our 8th grade advanced orchestra class. So last year during registration, families indicated whether or not they wanted their child to have a 0 period or not. If they said yes, you were given the 0 period. If you said no, I did not put you in that. And if you have changed your mind, you would do a schedule change request, and depending on space, we would determine if we could change anything. Let's see, so that's for the schedule. For the drop-offs and pickups, I'm going to be showing you a picture in a moment. So, but just a quick summary, we have a nice big loop that is brand new to the construction. So if you want to drop off your students, sorry, my cat is getting on the table here. If you want to use the loop, I'm going to show you a picture on how to use it. If you do not want to use the loop, but you want to drop your students off, do not drop them off on Driscoll. You'll want to use a side street to do that. It's possible you could be ticketed if you stop on Driscoll Road. When the students use the loop, we want them to get out on the passenger side, not on the driver's side, because we have cars coming through on the driver's side. And we do not want parents using our parking lots to drop off. So again, if you're dropping off, you'll either use the loop or you will drop off on a side street. We encourage students to walk or ride their bikes. Last year, we got to practice using that loop, and now we're adding 500 more students. So the more people who can carpool or the more students who can walk or ride, the better. On my screen, Ms. Quay, things are kind of getting cut off at the bottom, so I'm not sure what it looks like to the parents, but when I look at this, this slide about the schedule, so on Mays Day, your student will be able to pick up the schedule. And if they are wanting to make any changes to the schedule, they'll be able to fill out a schedule change request. Those request forms are online on our website. So they'll pick up their schedule on Mays Day, and then they can submit a schedule change request. We can't guarantee that we can make the change, but if we can, we will. So I'm going to go to the next screen and kind of go into more detail about this loop, and I did my best. This Quay is going to be my pointer with the mouse. So the loop has two driveways. There's a driveway over by the creek side, and there's a driveway where the light is. We do not want parents using the driveway where the light is. That will be an area for our staff to use to come into the parking lot. We want our parents to only use the driveway that is over on the creek side. So once you do enter into the loop, you're going to pull forward, and there will be 3 lanes. You're going to have a lane far to the right, one in the middle, and one on the left. So when you're dropping off your child or coming in to pick up, you're going to pull forward as much as possible in lane number 1. That loop is pretty long. It wraps around all the way up to where the office is. So you'll have lots of space to get cars in. Once you pull in as far as possible, you'll stop. Then that's when your student gets out of the car, again, on the passenger side only. Do not have them get out on the driver's side, because on the driver's side, lane 2, that's the lane that drivers are using to pull out of lane 1 so that they can exit out of the loop. So once you are ready to exit out of the loop, you're going to have to either be in lane 2 or lane 3. So if you need to go towards Mission Boulevard, you're going to want to be in lane 2. That will allow you to make a right turn onto Driscoll so that you can head towards Mission. If you need to head back towards, say, Paseo Padre, you want to be in lane 3, because that will allow you to make a left onto Driscoll to head back that way. Or if you need to go straight, if you want to go straight onto Amapola, you would be in lane 3 as well. So those orange boxes, those represent our parking lots. We do not want students being dropped off or picked up in the parking lots. That's for parking only. We do not, again, want parents coming through the exit driveway to cut through the parking lot to get to the loop. We need you to come through where the creek side is. And it's not an area for students to be using to cross through, to walk through. So for students who are walking home, if they have to go like towards Paseo Padre, there's a path that goes behind the school. So when students get out of school, there's a path behind the school that takes them to the creek path. So they'll be behind and not getting in the way of cars. Again, there's no drop off or pickup on Driscoll. Again, if you do, you could risk being ticketed, and there's no parking on Driscoll. And there's one other spot that we do not want students using, and it's the sidewalk that is on Driscoll between both driveways. So I have some X's there showing no pedestrians where the parking lot is, and so in that area, no students. We do not want students crossing in front of the driveways where cars are coming in or coming out. So again, they're either going to take that creek path, or they'll be on the other side of Driscoll, and they'll use that light on Amapola to cross over to the street. That's where we'll have one of our campus supervisors or noon duty supervisors helping with traffic. There's one other thing that I wanted to mention. There is a flashing crosswalk over by the creek area. So, and that's over by the driveway. While there is a light that flashes for drivers to be aware of pedestrians, I would strongly encourage your students not to use that driveway or that crosswalk. It's many drivers don't adhere to the flashing light. We've had many near misses. Sometimes our students don't use it correctly either. They just assume cars are going to stop and they walk right out in front of a car. So if you could talk to your student, if they're walking to school, to avoid that crosswalk if possible. We try to put a traffic volunteer there. We don't always have a traffic volunteer, but that is one way. If you want to get involved, you could help with that. Ms. Quay will be talking about that in a little bit. All right.
Or can I ask something real
Sure.
quickly?
Mhm.
I know that sometimes it might not feel convenient, right? Like, oh, why can I can just like drop it off real quickly right here. We want to thank you in advance for working with us. We fortunately had the whole last year to really perfect the system that moves the cars in and out pretty quickly. And this year, with a total of about 1,400 students, we especially need your help and your cooperation so that we don't have traffic backed up all the way for blocks and blocks to go. So thank you. We know that sometimes it may feel frustrating that you can't just quickly stop here, and also we want everyone to be safe as well. So I just want to thank you for cooperating with our policy here and the system that we have set up.
Thank you. Miss Jensen will take this one.
All right, for school lunch, so all lunches are free to students if they choose to get a lunch on campus. To obtain that lunch, or as breakfast as well, students will need to scan or input their ID numbers. And so students will be receiving their ID cards during Maze Day, and that is something that they can bring with them, and then they need to memorize as well their ID numbers. This is something that you can help practice with your students so that the efficiency of the line could go pretty quickly as students enter the MUR to get their food. We do limit to one lunch per student. There is a one-way in and out, and so you'll see at the map here that it is marked on our MUR. The enter lunch line, they go through one door and they go through the line and then they exit the other door. And so it's pretty organized. Your students will get the hang of it pretty quickly. All students will eat their lunch inside a designated eating area. So you'll see on the map, there are some green plates with some utensils. Those are designated eating areas, and students need to stay inside these areas while they are eating their lunch, as food is not allowed on the field, basketball courts, blacktop, or outside of eating area. And so we will have staff to supervise students while they are having their lunch. And so we will assist them in staying in this area. But if you can show your students this map ahead of time, this will assist them in getting used to the lunch procedures at Hopkins. We do allow lunch to be dropped off. There is a cart that is near the front office, and that is a place for you to drop off lunch if you choose to. Please keep in mind that that cart is not monitored throughout the day, and students are not notified that they have a lunch on that cart. So if you plan to do that, please communicate before school with your student that you plan to drop off a lunch for them. You need to drop off the lunch no later than 11 a.m. on a regular school day, 10 a.m. for minimum days, and 10:30 for end of semester days. And then parents and or adults are not allowed to loiter outside of the gate during lunchtime or at any time to hand food or items to students directly.
And then also, just in addition, we really take student safety very seriously, and the different policies, they all have reasons behind. And this policy is because we want to make sure our students are safe. And if the students are constantly coming out during lunch and going to the walkway, to the sidewalk, to talk to cars, to get stuff from cars, we don't know, right, who those drivers are, and we have to monitor the students inside. So please, and again, thank you so much for following the policies. And once again, we're working together to make sure that our students are safe when they're with us.
Ms. Clay, before I talk about this one, could you go back 2 slides again to the loop? Because a parent asked a good question about students who are riding their bikes, and I didn't really specify what they should do. Are you able to go
Yeah,
backwards?
for some reason my arrows are not working. Hold on, let me just stop sharing and figure it out.
Okay. I'm sorry if I messed you up.
This one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So a parent asked about students who are riding their bikes, and I should have been a little more specific about that. So students on their bikes, they will use the same path as the pedestrians. They'll use that creek path if they're coming from the Paseo Padre side. They'll use that creek path and go behind the school. And behind the school is where the bike lock is anyway. That's where the bike cage is. If they're coming from Mission, they can go on the other side, like where the new construction is. They can go back that way and go back around behind the school to the bike lock. So I hope that clarifies. We do not want bikes in the loop at all. They should not be coming through there. They would be like a pedestrian. Okay, so going to my. Okay, so here are some, I listed four policies or rules, things that come up pretty frequently throughout the school year. So something for you to be aware and things that you can talk to your student. So cell phones, number one, many students have cell phones. They're allowed to bring them to school. They are not allowed to use them during the instructional day. So these cell phones need to be turned off and put away for the school day. So that would be from the first bell to the last bell. So they're not allowed to use them at lunchtime. They are not allowed to use them during passing period. The only time they may be able to use them is if the teacher gives them permission in class. Sometimes if they're doing like an activity, like a quick research thing or a Google search, the teachers will allow them to use a phone, or if they're doing like a Kahoot game, they might use it for that. But other than that, the phones need to be turned off and put away all day. We are not allowing rolling backpacks. They have proven to be dangerous on campus, and with 500 more students coming and students using stairways, we are not going to allow those. We don't think the backpack should be that heavy anyway, because most of the, we checked in with the teachers last year to see what they will require, and the backpack should be pretty manageable. They're not going to have those heavy books like we parents have experienced back in the day. We have a hands-off policy to avoid roughhousing and play fighting. That usually results in students getting hurt. So we tell them to keep their hands to themselves. And then sometimes they like to get creative and use their feet instead. So it's everything, you know, no feet, no elbows, no knees, etc. They need to keep their hands to themselves all day and play nicely. And then the last one is no gum. There's no gum allowed on campus. So please leave the gum at home. We do use progressive discipline. So we normally for most things, we start with the warning, but then we start using the progressive discipline if it continues. We will also keep parents in the loop if there's any concerns. And then just a few things to make you aware about some activities and services. So our web leaders were at school today getting ready. If you have a 6th grader or a 7th grader, your student will be paired up with an 8th grade buddy. They're going to be planning activities throughout the year, getting together at lunchtime and doing some fun things. The web students will be coming next week as well to get prepared for the web day. I don't have that date off the top of my head. Do you happen to remember the web day? Well, I can look it up later. For other activities, we have socials. We have 3 socials per year. They're after school. During these socials, students have a chance, there'll be a DJ so they can go dance in one of the rooms. There's a photo booth, there's always a game room. Our leadership students often like to do an activity as well for part of the social, like face painting. They've created haunted house during Halloween. They've done things like gingerbread making contests during the winter. So we will put those dates out. They're not mandatory, but we do encourage your students to come. It's a way to get away from the academics and just be able to have fun with their friends. And then Ms. Jensen did talk about the breakfast and lunch. So just again, free breakfast and lunch is available to all students. They need to use their ID. So that's something you may want to practice with your student, what their ID number is. And then again, they're limited to one per student. So they're not allowed to just keep going through the line over and over again.
Okay, some helpful topics that you can assist us in reinforcing at home. A lot of topics we do talk about in the classroom and just want our students to be aware of these things, but you can have this conversation at home with your child to really help ensure that they are kind of following through in some areas. And so one of the first areas is cell phone usage and social media. It's really important to, as they start to get a cell phone, some of them already have them, depending on when that's happening in your household. It's really important to have a discussion about online safety, and for you as parents to also know what apps they are using, what social media sites they are using at home. And so that's something that definitely we encourage you to talk to your students about as you provide them if they are getting their cell phones. We really want to encourage positive online communication, really have that conversation with them about appropriateness of what they share online and how they engage with peers in the cyber world. And then again, as a reminder, phones are to be turned off during that instructional day, and you reinforcing that really helps with that. Really, if your student does have a phone, please don't try to contact them during the school day. It really helps to make sure that that phone is off from bell to bell. Another area is academic honesty. We really want students to focus on their learning and not the end result with the grade. And so it's really important that our students aren't taking shortcuts to get there. And so our teachers really need to assess and really understand, get to know how their students are performing in the class. And that really is when the teachers can really understand how students are performing and really if they're understanding material. So it's really important that our students are doing the work themselves. They're not taking those shortcuts by looking up answers online or working with their friends or anything like that that's cheating or plagiarism. And so we really want to focus on integrity and being honest. There is a link there as we as educators learn more about ChatGPT. There is a guide for parents there that we found that you might find helpful. And then we want to encourage healthy habits. So really starting those reminders about sleep and getting enough sleep, and then making sure that students are eating well and they have wellness in mind, as well as balance and time management. So as your students join us in middle school, those are some of the things that they will be starting to learn about, and how to manage what their commitments are, as well as having that downtime that's really important, and that family time that they have each day. And so we really want to have you as parents help us in reinforcing our students in developing healthy habits. And for COVID guidelines. And so we really want to encourage, if your student is sick, please keep them home. We want them to be healthy while they're here at school. So again, stay home when sick. If your student does get COVID-19, please report that to the office. And then our attendance clerk will tell you about next steps. Students, if they are COVID-19 positive, they must isolate for 5 days, and then they can return to campus as long as they are feeling well and are fever-free for 24 hours. It is recommended for students that test positive to wear masks through day 10 or after 2 consecutive negative tests. Again, those that wish to wear masks during the school day may do so, and then extra masks are available in our school office. Nancy, you're muted.
There you go. I knew something was gonna, not go completely smoothly. Thank you so much. So I want to reinforce the strong belief that we hold that it does take a village to support all of our kids, especially these days when there's so much out there that we didn't grow up ourselves, right? Social media, cell phones, that's just two real quick examples. So ways to work together. You can always contribute by making a donation. We have that information. If you click on the slideshow link, it leads you to a link where you can make contributions online. And And another really good way to not only work to support the school, but also to meet with other families because they're going through very similar things that you're going through. So it's always good to just have other ways to connect with other parents and guardians so that you have that support system as well. And that is through our Parent Faculty Association. Ms. Sakshi, I don't know if you would like to ask some more about PFA and ways to contribute.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Kui. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this session today. Before I go over some of the quick PFA action items, I would like to take a moment and thank Ms. Kui, Ms. Moore, and Ms. Jensen for sharing some very helpful information tonight with all of us. And I would also like to thank them and every other Hopkins faculty member and prior year PFA board members for electing the new PFA board for upcoming 2023-24 school year. We know we have some big shoes to fill in, but at the same time, we feel honored to be taking on this responsibility, something that each new board member and the broader Hopkins parent community is super excited about and committed to doing their best in assisting the school this upcoming school year in all areas, whatever it may be. So as a president of the board, I have two quick reminders here. You may by now have received a flyer in your maize packet that you probably all got in mail. And that flyer, definitely, one of the flyers in there is for the PFA donations. So like every year, PFA really looks up to these donations from the parent group and parent community. And as you all know, these donations go a long way in supporting the school with some of its technology, social, academic, and other needs of our kids. So you can, I think the instructions are all on there, but I would just kind of quickly reiterate them. You can make these donations either online via PayPal or via check made payable to Hopkins PFA. We will also be having a PFA booth on both maize days next week. So feel free to drop in your PFA donation checks if you like on that day, or you can separately go and make your donations online via PayPal. If you do choose to make your donations online via PayPal, you can just toss off this donation paper. You don't need to include it in your maize packet on the day when you actually come in person for fulfilling your maize responsibilities. The other quick reminder I wanted to just request you all is I would highly encourage you all to sign up for the Constella parent group if you haven't already done so, as PFA will be exclusively utilizing Constella during the entire upcoming school year to communicate and share any school-related updates. So as a president of the board, I therefore really would like to request you that it's extremely imperative for you to sign up on Constella so you are plugged in and up to date on all school-related communications, because that's the one channel we'll be highly leveraging and utilizing all through the year to communicate with the entire Hopkins parent community during the school year. I think, Ms. Kui, that's all I had from the PFA side. So thank you for giving me some prime time just to go over quickly some of the reminders that as PFA board will be mainly looking for help and support from the parent community. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much, Ms. Sakshi. And also we will be communicating out PFA meetings. Usually we do that the week prior to and also the week of the meeting. So we want to also make sure at the same time that you have been receiving email communication from Hopkins. If you have not, please reach out to us so that we can help figure something out. That includes a lot of really important school information. So we want to make sure that you are getting that in your email. Other ways to contribute is becoming a volunteer. I know as students go through their preteen and adolescent time, sometimes they act as if they don't want you to be there at the school with them. But having one teenager and one about to be a teenager myself, and also having taught for many years, 13 years in the classroom and serve high school and now middle school students myself, I know that they say one thing, but they continue to need our support. And especially as they become older and they're facing more complex challenges, that they do still need you to keep an eye out on them. And they will remember when they leave public school that you were active in their experience. So being a traffic control volunteer, that is super helpful because you can be helping us move the cars in and out and making sure that the students are understanding the safe paths of travel. During our lunchtime, there's lunch supervision that we need help with so that we can also open up more areas for students to use. I saw some questions about what happens if it's really hot or cold. We open up indoor areas and we'll continue to monitor the lunchtime crowds. And if we need to open up indoor spaces, we do, so that our students are having areas to enjoy lunches. And when they're done with their lunch, we also have the field where they can then be active and play with friends and run around to enjoy the rest of lunch when they're done eating. We do also need some help in the library. I saw questions about after school library hours. Our library is open for an hour after school each day. So if your students are needing your pickup but you're not able to come right away, they can safely be in the library under the supervision of our library media technician, Ms. Radia, doing homework or doing something quietly to wait for the pickup. That's totally fine. And the library is open once again for an hour after school every single day. If you're able to volunteer, please click on the link to, these are survey questions for you to complete to share your information with us. And then we do need all the volunteers to go through Civic Corps so that they have the clearance to work for our students and at our school. So the link is right there as well for you to go through if you're able to help us by physically being here as our volunteers. More ways to contribute. Hopefully you received the email that we are looking for coaches for our school teams. We do currently have a girls basketball coach and also a boys volleyball coach. So we are looking for girls volleyball and boys basketball coaches. If you are interested or if you know anyone who would be a great candidate, please help forward information to them. And we are asking for them to share their resume and their cover letter with me by next Monday so that we can get the interview process going and get someone selected to support our students in the athletics programs. Other ways to help out is becoming a representative on different committees. We have our school site council. That is a group of people that meet 4 times a year. And the really, really cool part of being a school site council is you are very, very closely involved at looking data that's related to our students and helping to make decisions about school improvement plans. We are looking for 6th grade and 7th grade parent representatives There will be 2 per grade level that we need, and that those are positions that go through an election process. They will be elected by the grade level parents. So if you're interested in running for the representatives, running as a to be a representative for the grade level as a parent or a guardian, please click on that link right there. We need the applications to be in by Monday, the 21st of August. If your student is a multilingual language learner and they are in the ELD class, or they have recently left the ELD program, but they still qualify as a multilingual learner. Those families come to our English Learner Advisory Committee, or ELAC for short. And we need parent representatives on that committee to represent Hopkins to go attend the district ELAC meeting. So we have a lot of different ways for our families to actively be here as part of our team to support our students together. All right, some save the dates. We're going to be hosting a coffee/tea. If you're not a coffee person, we'll have tea available, but breakfast with administrators on Friday, the 25th of August from 8:30 to 9:30. So if you're able to join us, could be a quick drop off your students and then stick around and chat with us. And at that meeting, we can talk a lot more about the different support that we offer, the different programs at Hopkins, to make this a really rich experience for all of our students. And this will be in front of our multi-use room, our MUR building. Another save the date is our back to school night, and that is Wednesday, September 6th from 6:30 to 8. And this is where you can come and speak with the teachers of your students, and again, make that partnership even tighter. So we welcome all of you to come, and hopefully we can see you all there with our students too, so they can show you around and show you their classrooms and where they usually sit. We look forward to that event. All right, we included our contact information here as well in case you have continued questions that we're not able to answer. We'll also try to save this Q&A. I just need to figure out the Zoom magic, but we'll try to save the Q&A. Any questions that we're not able to answer, we'll try to post them on the website. Meantime, you have the website link right there. We, as a district, did just transition to this new website over the summer. So thank you for your patience as our team. It will take a little bit to make the website as dynamic as what we had before. So thank you for your patience as we continue to add more information and keep the website updated. That's something that we're really proud of, especially last year to make sure that the website has all the information that you need. And this year, we're going to start to use Instagram as the main platform. Previously, we had used Twitter, but we found that Instagram is a lot more user-friendly in terms of including videos and pictures, and more of our families and students are already on that platform already. So we want to be able to reach out to more people. So we're going to be transitioning out of Twitter into Instagram, and you have our IG handle right there. All right, so this is really the Q&A time. So
Ms. Quay, so I wanted to touch on a few things that keep coming up. So
yes.
Thank you, parents, for these questions. One being the smartphones or the Apple Watches, I guess. I've had a lot, not the smartphones, the Apple Watches. So we've already established that cell phones need to be turned off and put away. The same is true for those Apple Watches or those smart watches. They act like a phone. So if your child has one, they need to turn it off and put it away during the school day or leave it at home. I'm not very savvy with some of them, so I don't know if they can be deactivated from the phone where they're just only a watch. But what we have found is most of the time they have games on them and students do get distracted. They do get confiscated, and we use the progressive discipline with those. So please, smart watches or Apple Watches need to be turned off. I've had questions come up again about the schedules. So again, once your child gets their schedule on Maze Day, then the schedule change request form, if they need it, will be found online under helpful links. And then another question that came up is about the loop. A parent is asking, do we have a different drop-off space? And we don't. We have that big loop. There are the side streets. You, again, need to avoid Driscoll. So please do not drop off or pick up on Driscoll. So either be patient and use the loop safely, but I would give yourself time. I mean, we have 500 more students coming. I don't know if there's going to be more carpooling, but that loop line can get pretty long. So I would plan, if I don't know where you live or where you're coming from, but plan accordingly. And so our tardy bell is at 8:15. So that is when students are expected to be in their classes. And so I hope that helps with your planning purposes.
Ms. Quay, there was another question I wanted to address. I know we're talking a lot about the cell phones and not having that on campus. And then there's some parents that are asking that maybe they haven't gotten their child a cell phone yet. And so again, if your student doesn't have a cell phone, they're not going to be left out of activities or anything like that within the school day. And so sometimes a teacher may ask if they have them, but if not, there are other options for students to use. There's Chromebooks that our teachers have access to, and that's majority what our teachers use. So don't feel like you have to rush out and get your student a cell phone. That's not something that is required at all. And that is a personal family decision. So the school is not going to dictate that any devices that are needed, because it's not needed.
There's some questions about the class selections. All the class selections, especially for our 7th and 8th graders, were done last spring, and we tried, of course, our best. I know Mrs. Moore worked many hours, including the non-work days in the summer, to get the schedules done. We try our best to honor their top choices. For the 6th graders, really, they're not that. I don't think the choice is really just a 0 period for our immersion program students. They can choose to have that class, and that will allow them to have the wheel elective class. What that is, the wheel elective, is that it's a wheel of 4. The class allows them to experience 4 topics throughout the year that include academic strategies, helping them learn how to manage time, how do you use a calendar to make sure that you get stuff done. The other topic is one on wellness. There's one on digital citizenship. How do you, what are some things that you should or shouldn't do when you are online? And then we have one on innovation. So that's more of a maker space engineering quarter where the students get to create and be creative. So that's the wheel elective that all of our 6th graders will take. If they're in the immersion program, they can choose to have 6 classes, and their 6th class will be English instead of the wheel class.
Ms. Cui, can I ask a quick question if you don't mind?
Of course.
There was some mention of up-to-date immunization record. Is that required? Are we required to produce that on the Maze Day, that our kid is up to date with all immunizations, or is there something not mandatory?
So I believe that it's done through the district online Maze process. On the Maze Day, when you do come, we'll be able to confirm whether or not you have completed the online Maze process through the district. And if anything is missing, we'll let those families or the students know.
Awesome.
And families, it's mostly for the 7th graders. It's the 7th grade students who have that real timeline for some immunizations. They won't be allowed to have a schedule. They won't be able to attend school if they don't have their immunizations in place. So it's important to have that done so that you'll be able to access your schedule and attend attend school. I don't believe it's as big of an issue for the 6th grade and the 8th grade. I think it's mostly up to the 7th grade level. That's where certain ones are required.
Got it.
There's a question about breakfast. So we do have breakfast. We start breakfast as early as 7:15 for our 0 period students, because they're starting school earlier. And then the breakfast is available until 8:10 in the morning. So at 8:10, when the first bell goes, breakfast shuts down. Students need to be heading to class. They won't be able to, if they come after 8:10 and they're being dropped off in the loop, they're not going to be able to run over and get a breakfast. It'll be closed because we want them heading to class at that point. So again, please plan ahead if you're wanting your child to come and eat before at school.
And then just once again, the slide deck that we were presenting is already on our website. So if you go to our website, you'll be able to click on the webinar link, and then that page that shows up will have the link to our slide deck that you can access. And after tonight, we'll also post the video of this webinar online too. We know that every family has different things to take care of. Not everyone can join tonight's webinar, so those will all be accessible after tonight. Some families are asking if there's a supply list. So I think our recommendation is that you wait until the first day of school, because each teacher might have already some things that they're providing, or they might have a list that is beyond what you thought your child is needed. So I will wait until your child meets with the teachers and the teachers let them know what they need, and then get the supplies.
And there's been a lot of questions about cyberbullying and social media, and I know Ms. Jensen touched on this before. We can't, stress enough how important it is for you to be communicating with your own student about the safe use of these social media sites, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, Discord, whatever they're using. And I can't keep up with all of them. Like I wouldn't be able to list all of them. We do deal with cyberbullying. Sometimes the cyberbullying is not a school issue. It's something that's, it's done at home, and but there are times where it affects school as well. So we do handle that when it comes our way. But we ask you parents to be involved. You'll talk to your students, have them show you their phone. I mean, you educate them on the proper way of using these sites. It's never private. It always comes back. You would be amazed at what lands in my inbox, a screenshot of something. And sometimes it's months later, after the fact. So, please continue to educate your students, and we will too.
There are multiple questions about what happens if you did not receive a maize packet. So those were mailed out last week. If you did not receive it, you can always come to our office. Our office is closed tomorrow because of staff training, but it is reopened Monday, and it's open Monday. Starting Monday, it's reopened again. So you can come by Monday or Tuesday. It's open from 7:30 to 3:30. So you can pick up a physical copy too if you need another copy or you never received one.
There was questions about the WhatsApp or the parent group. Like I know there are platforms that parents use to communicate with each other, and that's great. But we just want to remind parents that, if you're not sure about something, always maybe check with the school, because we don't monitor the WhatsApp or the Constella or any of those things. Like that's not what we use to communicate. So, if you're hearing something or not sure if something's true or not, you can always contact us, the school. Do we know if the lunch menu is posted anywhere? I'm not familiar with the menu being posted. I know for elementary school, they normally do that, but I'm not sure if it's different site to site or if it's the same.
Yeah, we can reach out to our child nutrition staff and get that answer.
Ms. Moore, there was a couple of questions that maybe you could address if about the library hours, as well as if students need to be picked up from the library, can parents go and pick up from that space after school?
So most days, our library is open for up to an hour after school. That's most days. We usually will post or send out a notification if the library is closing early. So if you are, if your child is staying after school, it's not a childcare. We don't use it as a childcare area. But if your child needs to stay after school, work on something in the library, work on their homework while they're waiting for you to come, that's fine. They can go to the library, get work done, and then you can pick them up from there. And again, we'll let you know on the days when we have to either close it early or it's not open for some reason, if the librarian has to be away for a meeting or something.
Ms. Jensen, can you talk a little bit about Web Day? We have some questions about pick up, drop off, where the families and what time they should be waiting for the students to be picked up.
Yes, Miss Kim, who's one of our counselors, is sending out communication regarding web. It's on Tuesday, August 8th. We have our 6th graders and our 7th graders coming in. And so there will be the drop off. It's all in the loop. So you get an opportunity to practice the drive through and the drop off. The web activities are for students only. And so we do ask that parents just drop off and pick up. And so the drop off for, I believe it's 6th grade starts first, if I'm correct. That drop off is from 8:15 to 8:30, and then pickup time will be at 10:30. And then let me make sure I want to just double check that I have the correct timings. Let's see. Yes, and then 7th grade will be from 12:30 to 2:30. So drop off time starts 12:15 to 12:30, and then pickup times at 2:30. And so your students will be working with our 8th grade web leaders and engage in activities just to get them more connected to our campus and welcomed as well. And so we are looking forward to having your students on the 8th.
There's some questions about how students will learn about school events, clubs, tryouts. We have a daily bulletin. It's a slideshow that our teachers have access to, and we ask all the first period teachers to show their students every single day. And that is a great way that our students get that information. And we also sent out weekly newsletters to our families as well, so that you're getting that information on your end and you can help remind the students of those opportunities. The daily bulletin is also posted on our website so that you have access to watch those as well.
A parent is asking about GATE program in 6th grade. So the students are not separated by whether or not they're GATE identified or not. They're all in the same classes together. Once they get to 7th or 8th grade, we do have we have honors English and honors science, and students who are GATE identified can qualify for the honors English and science. If your child's not GATE identified, they can still qualify for honors English or science by their grades in 6th or 7th grade. So they need B's or higher to qualify. So they don't have to be GATE identified to be in the honors program.
Right. So once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We know that we might not be able to answer all of your questions tonight. We'll try to save the questions and answer as much as possible. We'll post something on the website. But if you're still feeling that there's something that you want to know and this is urgent, again, you can always feel free to reach out to us through email or a phone call. We welcome any questions that you have. We're here to work together to support our kids together. So thank you, thank you. And thank you also, Susan and Michelle. It's not easy to be simultaneously translating. Thank you so much for working with us to support our families. All right, have a great night and thank you for being here. And we'll be again posting everything on our website.
Good night.